Want to keep up with the latest LEGO Maker 96.1 videos? Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Hello everyone, LEGO Maker 96.1 here with another video. And happy Star Wars Day, folks. Yes, folks, Star Wars Day has come once again. It is a time that the Star Wars fans celebrate their beloved franchise, with mixed results. But since the Star Wars community has grown strong over the years, there's also one source that many fans seem to do. They make their own fan-made material. Now, most of the stuff could be cosplay, most of it could be photos, but a majority of the time, it could be fan films. Now, last year, I did my top 6 Star Wars fan films, but for this year, I'm going to go for 7. Why 7? Because like the nostalgia critic, I like to go one step beyond. So, here's my list of my top 7 favorite Star Wars fan films. Now, mind you, before I go on, this may contain spoilers for anyone who haven't seen the fan films that I'm going to mention in this video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I suggest that you click away right now so you won't be spoiled. You may do so now. For those who remain, here we go. Number 7. Malak, an Old Republic Star Wars short film by Unreal Cinema. Now, I've never played Star Wars The Old Republic before. I mean, I've heard of it, and I've seen people do Let's Plays of it, and it looks spectacular. Now, for those who don't know what The Old Republic is a story that is set thousands of years before the events of the original trilogy. Now, this was before Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilm. That has to do with Indiana Jones and Star Wars and all that stuff. Now, I came across this short film a couple of years ago. I sat down and watched the whole thing. It's spectacularly done. The lighting, the effects, the music, the character models, the designs, everything. And I'm going to go over this particular fan film because it's still spectacular. Now, to begin with, we see Malak standing on the bridge and overlooking the planet called Telos 4. And all throughout the film, we hear Malak reciting the Sith code. Now, the Sith code is different from the Jedi code. For example, the Sith code is peace is a lie. For a Jedi's code, it was there is no passion and there is serenity. I'm pretty sure I butchered it, but again, I apologize. And also, throughout the film, we see Malak fighting with Darth Revan. Now, we see him fight throughout the course of the short film, which was in flashback, mind you, and it's still amazing. But what was really haunting, what was really outstanding, it was to actually see how Malak lost his bottom jaw. Now, mind you, if you paid attention to the Star Wars The Old Republic games, or even in the comics, you see Malak has this like metallic bottom jaw. Well, that's like a replacement, because when we see the reveal on how, because we finally saw what was Malak doing. He was getting maintenance done. The moment you see him, he's like this. and he had these devices where his jaw used to be. And of course, the shot of him with no jaw, eyes blazing Sith with orange, looking at Revan, it is haunting, let me tell you. I mean, it is spectacularly done. But overall, it is an amazingly short film. And I highly recommend you check it out because it is spectacular. Oh, and if there is going to be an Old Republic series, he's going to be done by Disney, give it fan service. I mean, I would love to see Keanu Reeves as Revan. Make it happen, Disney. Make it happen. Number 6. Rebel Commando, a Bad Batch fan and animation by Megapix XL. Now, I've said this before on my previous Star Wars fan film list. I love clones. I do. Clones are one of my favorite soldiers in any Star Wars universe. But for those who start with the good guys, I'm excluding Fox because he's a douche. Now, with this series, even though it's still ongoing, it's spectacular because it covers the fall of Tantus Base. And yes, if you paid attention to the Bad Batch series, we actually see one of our favorite clone commandos from a squad called Delta Squad, named Scorch, in the Imperial ranks. Now, the moment I saw Scorch in the Empire, I was completely stunned because I didn't know Scorch would do this. Now, you're probably wondering, why would Scorch serve the Empire? Well, it all has to do with a certain implant that the clones had, in which they were implanted with during their growth cycle. Now, what I'm talking about is the inhibitor chip. Now, this small organic implant was implanted in all the clones during their growth cycle. And this was revealed in Season 6 of the Clone Wars. Now, Fives, one of my favorite clones, mind you, discovered the inhibitor chip, and he was trying to warn Anakin Skywalker and Captain Rex about the chip, but he was killed by Commander Fox, through Palpatine, mind you, to keep Order 66 a secret. Now, even though it's a fan film, it is still spectacularly done. Because it revealed the what-if scenario if Scorch survived. Because you're probably wondering, how's that possible? Well, mind you, Clone Commando armor, which is the Gataran class armor, is different from the standard Clone Trooper armor. Because that armor is tough. Even though we see Scorch fell to his death, many people begin to speculate that I don't think Scorch is actually dead. He's actually alive. But instead of rejoining the Empire, Scorch was found by a unit that serves under Captain Rex and brought him back. Now, this unit is actually an organization. It's part of the Clone Underground. Now, the Clone Underground is first appeared in the Bad Batch series, Season 2, mind you. Now, it was there that we see various clones from various units that's serving with Rex and is serving as contact for the Empire. And it turns out that not only Scorch joined this organization, but Sev does as well. Now, you're probably wondering, who are these names, Scorch and Sev? Well, if you play Republic Commando, which I did not, Republic Commandos is a game, and one of Dave Filoni's favorite games. It covers a clone commando unit called Delta Squad. It tells the story of Boz, Fixer, Scorch, and Sev, and their various missions throughout the galaxy during the Clone Wars. Now, their mission was to infiltrate an Imperial base but along the way, they've met some familiar faces. Now, don't get me wrong, the design of the troopers we see alongside the Empire. I'm talking about the Imperial troopers, not the clones. The clones are. The troopers in that one are okay. Now, you're probably wondering what armor are they doing? Well, this is paying homage to the Force Unleashed game. The, the prologue version, mind you. And yes, I did play The Force Unleashed growing up. It's still one of my favorite games. Yeah, I didn't tell you that. Now, the design of those troopers you see here is actually paying homage to the Phase 3 clone trooper armor what we saw in the prologue of the Force Unleashed, where we see Vader leading troopers on the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk to find surviving Jedi. Now, this was set years after Revenge of the Sith, in the early days of the Empire, mind you. I mean, don't get me wrong, the design of those troopers is spectacular, but if anything, I prefer the TK armor. Now, the TK armor is to pay homage. Now, the TK armor is a mixture between the Imperial Trooper armor and the regular Trooper armor, regular Clone Trooper armor we see throughout Season 4 and so on. And I have to admit, for the clones in the Clone Underground, their character designs is spectacular. Now, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And you'll see what I mean. Also, I can't wait for episode 3. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to kick a lot of butt, let me tell you. Number 5. The Last Padawan, a short Star Wars story fan film by Rebel Pictures. Now, I'm okay with surviving Jedi stories, them surviving Order 66, because of what happened to them afterwards. I mean, we all know Kenobi survived Order 66, and so did Yoda, and many others. But this particular film in particular, and yes, I'm going over 2 of them, mind you, this tells the story of a young Padawan who survived Order 66 and spent the rest of his life in hiding, avoiding detection from the Empire. Now, in the beginning, we see this Padawan, and I don't know his name, and I apologize if I don't know any. I apologize for not knowing the name of this Padawan. He meets a guy who was tied up in a tree and was left behind to starve and die. But it turns out that this was actually a trap, and these guys were working for the Empire to rob people. Now, this Padawan was captured, and he was tied up against a tree. And while rummaging through his stuff, these guys discover that he's actually a Jedi. Well, in truth, he's actually a Padawan. Why? Because, Padawans have these 12-inch long braids on their person, usually loop around behind their heads. And if they become Jedi Knights, the braids are cut off. So while dealing with these robbers, this Padawan in particular, he deals with these pirates, and he tells them the truth, but not before revealing his location to the Empire. So the Empire dispatched an Inquisitor to deal with this surviving Padawan. Now, Inquisitors, for those who don't know, and this is the canon version I'm going to cover, Inquisitors are these Force-sensitive agents that work for the Empire, and many of them turn to the dark side as a result. Now, who's the name of this Inquisitor? We don't know. Now, for the Inquisitors in the Star Wars canon, and they usually go by their title, like First Brother, First Sister, Second Brother, all that jazz. So the Inquisitor confronts his Padawan, and he fights him, and does engage in a duel. And I gotta admit, throughout the film, it is spectacularly edited. I mean, The gorgeous shots, the choreography, the effects, everything. And also the robes on the Padawan is just spectacular. Just goes to show that he's been surviving all these years on his own without his master. And he's been on the run since Order 66. Now, even though the Padawan defeated the Inquisitor, he's still promoted to the rank of Jedi Knight. He cuts his braid and he places his braid on the body of the he places his braid on the body of the Inquisitor. Now, in the second film, and it caught me by surprise, the Inquisitor actually survived. I was like, what? I mean, to be honest, when I saw the Padawan doing this to the Inquisitor, I thought they gave him the Darth Maul treatment and he was going to die right then and there. But in truth, he survived. Now, my theory is the guy actually survived by focusing on his hatred, or he was either found by stormtroopers and they brought him in for treatment. That's my opinion. Now, in the second film, when we see this Padawan, now a Jedi Knight, a few years later, with a member of a resistance group, and they're combating against the Empire. Now, mind you, in the early days of the Empire and throughout, leading up to the events of Rebels and in the original trilogy, we see resistance groups being formed to combat against the Empire. Some of them are good guys, some of them are bad guys, and some are just outright insane, like Saw Gerrera's unit. Now, this Inquisitor comes back, and he fights the Padawan. Or should I say Jedi Knight now. Now, throughout the course of this battle, the Padawan's like, no, I'm not going to cut you down in anger. It won't change anything. And so he throws his lightsaber down. But the Inquisitor wants this guy to fight him. So in other words, he just clocks the guy. And he keeps telling him to fight him. But no, he wouldn't kill someone in anger. If you paid attention, if you strike a Sith down in anger, you'll descend on the path of the dark side. And yes, I am quoting Yoda here, for once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you, it will. But overall, it is an amazingly good two short films, and I highly recommend you check them out. Because they are spectacularly done, well edited, well choreographed, and well acted, and it's awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it's awesome. My Enemy, a Star Wars story, by Lecture Films, made by the same YouTuber who made The Elite, which is my favorite clone trooper film. But My Enemy tells the story of both an Imperial garrison and a rebel attack force set during the Galactic Civil War, or taking an Imperial base. Now, even though it's well edited and well animated, it is still spectacular. My Enemy tells the story of one stormtrooper and one rebel. After the battle, they were talking. There was no other battles, there was no other fights being waged. It's just them talking on a beach after the aftermath of a battle, talking. And we see the stormtrooper open up about the destruction of Alderaan, and even the Battle of Yavin. Now, this was set during the Galactic Civil War, as I said earlier, set between the events of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And it just goes to show that there are still people in the Empire that are good, some that are sympathetic to the rebellion, and say, hey, what the Empire is doing is wrong, and it needs to be calling on it. And also, the action sequence is just spectacular. Now, in the beginning, we see these rebels was on a U-wing going to an unknown water planet. And on this planet, we see an Imperial garrison where two stormtroopers are practicing their shots. Target practice is on rocks. But all of a sudden, when the rebels launched an attack, and their signals were jammed, but the Empire countered, and they launched their attack, and thus begin a battle on this walkway in which the stormtroopers were on. And this stormtrooper was knocked out during the battle, and the garrison on that planet fled. Some of them were killed, but the rest, they just escaped. And this one rebel commander received this trooper, and he's just sitting there staring at him. At first I thought, what, did he end up in hell or something? But no, it's just them sitting on a beach, and it's just them talking, explaining their ideology. Now, the rebels' ideology was to bring back the Jedi and to bring back the Republic, and exposing the crimes of the Empire. But the Empire wants to bring peace, freedom, justice, and security to the galaxy, which we all know is misinformation, lies, and propaganda. And this short in particular, it not only humanizes the rebels, but it also humanizes the Empire as well. Because as I said, this stormtrooper opens himself up about the destruction, the Death Star, or the destruction of Alderaan and the Battle of Yavin. Now, he had friends on that battle station, which was destroyed during the Battle of Yavin. And I couldn't help but feel sorry for the guy. Even though the guy wasn't Imperial, it just goes to show that he does have a human side. Because as I said, there are those in the Empire that are good, those that are sympathetic to the rebellion, those who still care for the Jedi, the Republic, and those around them. Now, like I said, if you haven't seen the film, go check it out. It is well done. Number 3, Order 66, Star Wars short film by Cinematic Captures. Set during Revenge of the Sith, Order 66 tells a story about Order 66. In this particular short film, we see a Jedi Knight by the name of Nim Rasen, which was a Ronian Jedi Knight, in the Outer Rim when Order 66 was issued. Now, ever since Revenge of the Sith was released 20 years ago, we actually saw how the Jedi was wiped out and how the Republic became the Empire. Order 66. Now, Order 66 was a contingency order by the clones issued by Palpatine for all the clones to turn on their Jedi generals or commanders and have them executed for treason against the Republic. Now, what led up to the execution of Order 66 was the arrest on Chancellor Palpatine, or the duel in the Chancellor's office, which Palpatine is a Sith Lord, mind you. And the Jedi tried to arrest him, but Anakin stepped in and stopped the Jedi from either capturing or killing Palpatine. And it was there that Order 66 was executed. Now, this order, it didn't happen in one at a time. It happened at once, all over the galaxy. And it's all have to do with the inhibitor chip. Now, as I said earlier, the inhibitor chip was implanted in all the clones during their growth cycle. But interesting fact, very few clones were immune to the effects of Order 66, which was rare. Now, most of the clones didn't comply with Order 66. Many of them helped the Jedi into hiding, and some of them went into hiding and they refused the order. But some of them did. Many of them end up joining the Empire. Some of them were forced into retirement. Or some of them just died off. As we saw in Obi-Wan Episode 2, we see a homeless clone trooper named Nax is living on the streets fighting to survive. Not fighting to survive. And I still love that scene. That homeless clone trooper. Hope you get a good meal, buddy. Now, the film begins where we see a Jedi Knight Rawson and a squadron of clones patrolling an unknown planet. And it was there that Order 66 was issued. Now, these clones will try to kill their Jedi General or Commander. We don't know what title he was. But they couldn't. He just survives and went into hiding. Though a couple years later, he was found by the Empire, by the Third Sister, and two stormtroopers. Well, actually, two purge troopers, I should say. Now, purge troopers were these soldiers trained to hunt surviving Jedi. Now, if we saw in the Vader comics, and even in Jedi Fallen Order, these troopers wore airborne clone trooper armor that's painted black, but usually they would have white markings on their armor or even red markings on their armor. Just goes to show that they were part of the Inquisitorius, an organization that is trained by Darth Vader to hunt surviving Jedi. Now, I checked out this YouTuber's work, and not only did he did Shadows of the Empire, he also did a lot of Star Wars themed stuff as well. He even animated Ahsoka's Decision, which was a deleted Clone Wars animated scene, in animatic, where we see Anakin and Obi-Wan talking about Ahsoka's decision to leave the Jedi Order. Now, if you haven't seen those films, go check it out. It is well done. Number 2. Forgotten Ones. Star Wars fan series by 7 Cubed Films. Now, this type of animation was done by Source Filmmaker, which, if you've seen in the films done by Team Fortress 2 and Left 4 Dead, and that's it. Now, I haven't done Source Filmmaker. I mean, I want to. I just got to figure out how to work it out. So just go about it from there. Now, this series covers a group of clones that are stranded on a planet and fighting to survive while the rest of the war goes on without them. And they didn't know that the war is still going on. And the Republic doesn't know that these troopers are out there on that planet fighting to survive. Now, the series is done spectacularly well. It is well acted and well animated, even though it's Source Filmmaker. And the models of these troopers is spectacular. Now, these models were modeled after seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which is my favorite TV series, which was done by Dave Filoni. Now, even though it had the appearance of clone Captain Fordo, and even Captain Locke. Now, for those who don't know who Captain Fordo is, he was Captain Rex before he was Captain Rex. He was this badass ARC trooper, which was seen in Jinty Tavanaski's Clone Wars micro series, which we see this trooper leading his own troops in a battle during the Battle of Munilus. We also see Fordo again during the Battle of Coruscant. Now, what happened to Fordo is still a mystery in Legends. In canon, he hasn't been brought back into canon. Now, the series, it is still spectacular. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Now, and the guy who did the voice acting for the clones, he's spectacular too. Now, I know I mentioned this in my previous Star Wars list video, and now I'm going to go over it again. I actually did a Lego Star Wars fan film. It covers a female clone trooper named Jaina. And for the voice of the clones, I did it in the style of D. Bradley Baker, which he did the voice of all the clones in various forms of Star Wars media. He did voices for Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is my favorite series, The Bad Batch, and Battlefront 2, Rebels, just to name a few. And I hope, and I can't wait for Season 6, not Season 6, Episode 6 and Episode 7 to come right out, because I can't wait to see what happened to these clones when those episodes come out. Will they live? Will they die? Will they see the rest of the war? We don't know. All I know is I can't wait to see it. And my number one favorite Star Wars film is Star Wars: The 2/12 fan film by Hope Life by VFX. Now, I was scrolling around Instagram one day, and I came across an image, or even a reel of Commander Cody in action. Now, this was done by Hope Light. I'm pretty sure I butchered it, and I apologize to you, buddy. In this particular short film, it covers the 212th Attack Battalion. And now, this unit was led by Obi-Wan Kenobi throughout the Clone Wars. And the animation, it is spectacularly well done. Now, this was done in a cinematic style. If you paid attention to various video games, TV spots and all that, that's it. Now, we see Commander Cody and members of the 212th Attack Battalion and the 2nd Airborne Company, which was a unit attached to the 212th, will go to a planet that is occupied by Separatist forces. And throughout that battle, we see the 212th in action. Now, don't get me wrong. I still have a spot for the 501st and the Bad Batch, but the 212th deserve to get some action. I mean, Cody looks spectacularly done, but what really caught my attention is this heavy trooper. I mean it. This trooper's design is sick. By sick, I mean it is awesome. The design of this trooper is spectacular. That the clone commando backpack he has on him, the clone commando shoulder pad that he has, the ARC Trooper chest piece, that modified helmet. It is insane, dude. Let me tell you. So we see the 212 will take down a wave of Separatist troops, but not before being confronted by General Grievous, and the film ends there. Now, this was an awesome film that this guy did. The model shot, the animation, it is spectacular. And of course, when we see Commander Cody, he used a jetpack when he gunned down blast. Let me try that again. And of course, that one scene where we see Commander Cody using a jetpack to blast down droids. Now, that was a badass shot. He was in the air and he's like, just decimated them. And I'm telling you, if there was going to be another Clone Wars TV series, or even Tales of, they should do the clones. Now, I know that there was a series on the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, but still, it wouldn't hurt to see Tales of the Clones. Think about it. Now, if you haven't seen this short film, go check it out, because it is awesome. Really well done. And that is my top 7 list. Now, if you want me to put my first list and this list together, please let me know. If you haven't seen in these short films, if you haven't seen in these YouTubers, go check them out. They made some wonderful Star Wars content, and I can't wait to see some more or later down the line, because I love Star Wars, and I'll continue to watch Star Wars and love Star Wars till death do I part. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like this, including the many other videos that I've done on my channel, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notifications so that way you can be notified when I upload the next video. And as always, this is LEGO Maker 96-1 signing off. And may the Force be with you always.